and we are officially live, broadcasting only on onedealaway.com. This is Money Matters. My name is Nev, and today, do we have news for you? The earth shattering, groundbreaking news is that President Trump has been confirmed to be positive with COVID 19. Now, I know I typically don't say that word, but today it's important to say it because it does have large implications as to what we can expect of the markets, of the larger volatility we have, all of this pandemic stuff, all of the voting stuff, all of the uncertainty stuff as is. And now we have a president who is in his 70s, who is potentially fine, but given the age and given how this particular virus, from what we've been told, right, I can't say what we know, but what we've been told behaves, this could have a huge impact on the markets, on the uncertainty. And we're going to be talking about all of that stuff, as well as what's happening with unemployment, with payments, with markets, the whole 9 yards. So you absolutely want to watch this. And the reason we do this super early in the morning is so that you get these news right before things happens to you, can prepare for the day and be able to potentially preserve your wealth and potentially profit from it. So make sure you stay tuned in. And hey, I just want to welcome everybody watching this live on onedealaway.com/live. Do sign in. Do say hello in the chat. We're going to do Q&A at the end of the show as always. If you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever else, make sure you smash that like button. Forward it to friends and family that you know who would care and enjoy the content. Tell them about it. Do subscribe. Hit the bell button so you get notified when we do go live, when the video does go live, which is just about every day. And, let's do this. All right, y'all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday to you. It is October 2nd, 2020. And as I have mentioned, and here we go, let's jump right into the news. You will see that the Trump and his wife both have tested positive for coronavirus. Now, one of the things that they are saying is, well, he is 74 and is at high risk with the deadly virus, both because of his age and because he is considered overweight. Allegedly, the gentleman does not exercise as well as he could, nor does he eat the balanced diet. So, what does all of this mean for us, right? You are like, oh my gosh, right? Imagine every time something happens with the president, whether you like him or don't like him, and I'm saying him because so far in the United States, we've only had a male. We've never had a female, actually, so that's why I say him. At some point, when we do have a female, I will say her, if or them, if it's multiple that I'm referring to. But anyways, so let's take a look at what's happening over here. And here we have reports of what's going on. So stocks, oil prices extend losses after Trump tests positive. Stock futures extended losses on Friday after President Donald Trump said he and his wife have tested positive. And this happened immediately. The moment that the news went, the market just went straight down, which I do expect that regular trading component is going to go straight down. S&P 500 slid 1.21% by early afternoon in Asia, while U.S. Treasury yields also fell as bond prices rose. The U.S. dollar was also higher, particularly against the British pound and Australia and New Zealand dollars. So I do expect that the dollars are going to go up in value because everybody is going to want to get into cash as quickly as humanly possible. So this is very important for us to understand and prepare in that regard. Trump's positive coronavirus test could cause a new wave of market volatility as investors brace for new hotly contested presidential election in November. Now, of course, you may know that President Trump has been speaking about it's not a big deal and against the masks and stuff. And so now the fact that he's testing positive, I don't know if his conversation is going to change. Probably not. It sounds like he's asymptomatic based off of what I could find online. But again, I am not a doctor. I have no clue how he's feeling. I don't hang out with the guy, right? So I can't tell you where he is and how he's doing. But what it does put COVID crisis back its on front and center. And here is what basically has transpired. The moment that it was announced that he tested positive, look at this. I mean, it was sliding downwards anyways. Been expecting that we're going to go slowly down, but this just puts a big old dump right over here. MC MSCI, broadest index of Asia Pacific shares outside Japan, was down 0.27%. Australia S&P ASX 200 index fell 0.98%. And then we have Japan Nikkei 225 index basically lost all the gains and fell 0.69%. One of the things to also note is that Japan's or the Tokyo Stock Exchange, had to shut down, and they resumed normal trading after this, really, really bad outage. Stocks 50, not 500, 50, stocks 50 Europeans fund or index futures were up 0.06%, so basically flat. DAX futures rose 0.03%, even flatter, and FTSE futures were down by 1.02%. Isn't it interesting? I always keep saying, isn't it interesting? When it goes up like slightly, but when it drops that much more. Now, of course, 1% may not be all that huge, but still, in comparison, 1% versus 0.03%, there is a difference. NASDAQ fell 1.7%, futures, and the 10-year Treasury yield fell to 0.6545%. China's stock and bond market, foreign exchange, commodity futures market are all closed until October 8 for the holidays, and South Korean and Hong Kong markets are also closed today for the holidays. Now, when it comes to the jobs and stuff, we're going to look at some of the stuff, but thousands of jobs cut this week showed firms are still wrestling a readjustment needed to survive, and risks are very, very real coming from a partner at Advisor Capital Management. There is a lot more near-term risk. My gosh, my English is asleep. There's a lot near-term risk at the moment than long-term. More U.S. jobs data. Consumer spending is starting to slow down, which we've been expecting because they're not getting as much money, right? So it makes sense. Traders are also waiting for the Labor Department report on non-farm payroll and the jobless rate late Friday, following the new layoff announcement from the likes of Disney, Goldman Sachs, airlines, right? We're going to talk about some of those things. Dollar index jumped 0.3% on risk aversion. Gold price fell 0.55% to $1,894.60. Thank you very much. On an ounce, adding to its worst month since November 2016. And oil prices continue to fall, adding to a 10% September drop. So this is your brief, big overview of what's happening and what's going on. But let's take a deeper look into what's going on with the oil prices and why are they sliding. So let's take a look at that stuff. So oil prices took another dive on Thursday as OPEC production increased in September over August. Spot prices for WTI had fallen by 6.04% to $37.79, and the Brent had dropped 5.22% to $40.09. And I think it's going to continue to go down. Again, not a financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball, just looking at the whole big picture and everything that's happening. I do expect it is going to be a very, very red market today. I wasn't planning to talk about this stuff, but I think it's important to talk about it today because of what has transpired. I had a different plans in my head yesterday when I was thinking of what are we going to do for the show today. The culprits of this production increase is mostly Iran and Libya, both of whom are exempt from the production quotas. And so I think that they're kind of stepping in and saying now is the time to take it. And now, with the Trump kind of being ill, with the markets being shaky, this could potentially open some political doors. Probably not from China, given that they're in holidays, although anything is possible. But I could see it coming from Middle East. I could see it coming from Russia potentially. So we could see some very, very interesting things happening over the next few days. Thankfully, we're entering the weekend. However, please pay attention that just because we're entering the weekend does not mean that folks are asleep, right? It just means that we're not necessarily trading, and that could be potentially good for the markets because they can put a little bit of a pause. We get some positive news about Trump maybe feeling better or whatever, which could help potentially with the markets. If we don't see any of that over the weekend, the markets very well could slide even further. Now, could I be grossly wrong and everything turns great and people are like, yes, Orange Man is gone, party on, let's go and invest? Absolutely. Hey, it is 2020, right? And I think by this point, any times that something weird could happen, we're all saying it's 2020, right? It's sort of like that, the Vision 2020, right? When you are able to see everything, this is kind of what's going on right now. Speaking of seeing everything, you do know that yesterday we talked about the fact that JP Morgan Chase is, and has been cheating, lying, stealing, manipulating, whatever you can think of. They have been doing it and they're having to pay, to us, regular mortals, huge fine. To them, a small portion of doing business cost, right? But now we're getting stuff from Goldman Sachs, which is a second giant bank system thing. And here's what happened, right? So they were talking about, hey, we're not going to lay off anybody in 2020. You have a word on that. We're not doing it. Cross my heart, hope to die, and then crossing your fingers behind your back, right? We've seen that in movies. Maybe we've even done it in real life. And they're definitely doing it. So they cut 400 jobs, which, in the grand scheme of things, of how many people they employ, 400 jobs, probably not as big of a deal, and definitely not as big of a deal as this. U.S. Airlines lay off thousands of staff as federal relief ends. American Airlines says it's shedding 19,000 workers. United Airlines, 13,000. We haven't heard from other ones, but Virgin Atlantic is to cut additional 1,150 jobs. So here is kind of where we are with that. So you know that Disney has cut. We have Goldman Sachs is cutting. We have airlines that is cutting. And, so we have the retail. We have the news that many restaurants are basically preparing to shut down and never come back, given that it's winter and nobody wants to sit outside and we can't really dine indoors. And those that are dining indoors, well, it's a reduced capacity, so numbers don't really make sense. It ends up costing them more than it's worth for them to do that stuff. Then, on the other side of things, we go back to retail. Oh no, not the retail again. Yes, the retail again. H&M is closing 250 stores. So there you go. They have just announced it. H&M is closing 250 stores next year. So thankfully not 2020. But nonetheless, 2021, they are closing. So happy New Year's, you are unemployed. Now, the fast fashion retailer has 5,000 stores worldwide, and so Thursday announcement accounts for 5% of its store count. Now, of course, its rival in Inditex, which owns Zara and other fast fashion brands, said earlier this year it plans to close as many as 1,200 stores this year and next. American Eagle Outfitter and GameStop also recently announced plans to close hundreds of stores because, well, guess what? We are all shopping online. Nobody is going to the malls. But, you would think that everybody kind of has realized that, and people are saying, nobody's going out there, nobody's shopping, people don't want to do this stuff. And yet, New Jersey, here we go again. New Jersey has basically added additional tax for wealth. They have additional tax, I think, in the works for real estate potentially. I don't know. I've just heard that through the grapevine, so don't hold me to that. please look out for that and watch out for that. They have added a tax for gas, so wherever else you might pay lower gas price, in New Jersey you're going to pay much higher. And then on top of that, they thought it was a brilliant idea to do one crazy thing, and that is to open a 3 million square foot American Dream mega mall that they had scheduled for March, but of course everything was closing, so they closed it. So now they're reopening it now. Now, this thing is opening as of yesterday. It's a 3 million square foot property. That's ginormous, y'all. I mean, it might as well be a freaking town. Equipped with an indoor theme park with more than 35 rides, roller coasters, and attractions, and a water park with more than 40 water slides, and it's reopening. In September alone, of course, Bed Bath & Beyond and GameStop announced store closures, and Charlottesville and Century 21 filed for bankruptcy. Mall vacancies hit a record high in early September at 9.8, according to commercial real estate research firm Race, REIS. I don't know. Let me know how you pronounce it. But this mall basically is saying, no, 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 no. We are going to do just fine. We know what we're doing. People want to get together and swim in the same pool where they could potentially get stuff from others. Look, people are not getting on cruises. They're not getting on planes. They're not sleeping in hotels. Speaking of hotels, an interesting thing. I'm going to pause over here for just a moment. So, an interesting thing with the hotels. One thing that you may or may not know, it's not part of the news, it's just part of my general knowledge because of where I'm involved and what I'm involved with in my daily life and who I am spending time with professionally, personally, that kind of stuff. So you may or may not know this, but hotels, a lot of them, originally when this whole like beer overflow pandemic thing kind of started, they were just like, no, 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 you have to show up with the negative tests, and like, we don't want that. And when they, of course, were allowed to reopen and that kind of stuff, right? But now they're hurting so badly that they are actually starting to dub themselves basically almost as a second hospital. So if you test positive, you can actually self isolate in a hotel if you can't self isolate at home. They will take everybody and anybody at the most ridiculous rates ever. Now the challenge with that is that if you are potentially at the risk of potentially getting this stuff, and we don't really know what the long-term consequences are, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's a lot, it just depends on who you ask. And frankly, I personally don't know whom I can trust anymore. Everything is fake news as far as I am concerned until I see it with my own eyes, hear with my own ears, experience it. And there are certain things that I don't want to experience. I don't want to get sick, right? I don't want to be in pain. I mean, it happens, of course it happens, but I don't seek to do it, right? It's not something I go shopping for, so to speak. But apparently that now the hotels, not only can a regular human go and stay there, but you're also going to have people that are ill. A lot of the ill people are asymptomatic, meaning they're not experiencing any symptoms. They look just like you and I. They're fine. They're behaving. Fever may or may not be happening at all, but they have the virus. They're carrying it. And that's the very sad part about the whole thing, that it's very invisible, right? Like if I had some sort of something that had like blue dots all over my face, you were like, he has it, right? It's easy to spot. You stay away from me, I stay away from me, and it's solvable. But now, I'm feeling fine. I might be spreading. I don't even know that I'm doing it. And so that's what we're experiencing quite a bit of right now. And that's the part that is highly problematic with the whole, spreading and stuff. And you've likely heard that Europe is getting its big second wave. Madrid just reclosed all over again. UK is talking about potentially closing. So there's a lot of, second wave panic, so to speak. And so now we're seeing this giant mall reopening. And my question is, who the heck is going to go there? But I did see some news that allegedly people were lining up to go in. They probably just wanted to go and see it, right? I don't know. I could be wrong. Let me know if you live close by and what's going on over there. And, if you saw it and if you think it's a good idea, bad idea. One of the interesting things that you do need to know is that the mall will reduce capacity to 25%, and hand sanitizers will be provided, and face masks are required to go through it. But experts do expect the number of mall closures to increase over the next 5 years as more people not just avoid, they're saying avoid in person shopping, continue to gravitate towards shopping online, but I say it's also about convenience. It's quite lovely that I can sit here at home and while I'm working from home, right, because most of us are still doing that, while I'm working from home, that I can take a quick break, jump on my phone or even from my computer, put in an order for my groceries, and boom, they're delivered by the time I'm off work. And by the way, while I'm there, I can potentially put in for certain things. Now certain things are kind of hard for me personally. Shoes are kind of hard. I need to put them on, I need to try them. I know what size I wear, and at the same time I have no clue what size I wear, because I can go with one brand and it's going to be, like 9.5, and then the other brand is going to be 8. I mean, that's a big difference. That's a huge difference. And I have no clue which size I wear. And sometimes, even with the same brand, but different model, they change it. They're changing the numbers to jeans as well. I learned this not that long ago when I went out. I've been 30 for, right, like waist for as long as I can remember. And not that long ago, well, maybe long ago, I don't know. I don't go shopping very often, y'all. But I had to go. I'm like, okay, the only pair of jeans that I have are like ripping, and while it's kind of cool, they're also not appropriate for me when I go out and want to look slightly dressier. So maybe they're cool when I'm around my house, like, puttering around or like cutting lawn, which I don't actually do, but I don't know, do something, in a yard. Maybe plant. I do plant. I do plant. Maybe plant, some of my garden and stuff. So it makes sense to wear them then, but, to go out to dinner and stuff, rarely wear jeans to dinner anyways, but, if I do, I'd rather them be dressier. So I decided to go and get some jeans, and everything 30 is like hanging on me. I'm like, I know I did not lose that much weight. Like, I know that for a fact. But it turns out they're actually changing the numbers, and so the 28-29 is now the new 30. Who knew? They're starting to reduce the numbers on the clothes, so that makes it super hard to shop. But at some point, you're seeing all of these new companies that are coming out where they will actually, I can't remember the one, but I've seen some advertisement and stuff for it, where they'll actually, like, you select of what you like. Typically they're targeting guys, because guys don't like going out shopping. I do enjoy it, I just don't go, especially nowadays. Super not interested, and I'm busy with other stuff that interests me way, 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 way more. But anyways, you can go in, you can check on the boxes of what you like, and they send you things that are sort of your size. You can try it on, keep whatever you want, and what you keep you get charged for, and whatever you don't want, you send it right back to the company. So that's an interesting piece. And so as we see more and more of that starting to come in, we see with Zappos, for example, I could probably do shoes with them, because they'll ship me all the shoes and I can just ship it back for free of all of those that I don't want. So if I like something online, I can get 10 pairs. They'll send me the 10 pairs. Maybe I do, different sizes, try them on. What works, I keep. What doesn't, I ship it back. It doesn't cost me anything, and I don't have to travel and deal with people, traffic, parking, the whole 9 yards. And I know it's an experience, but it's one I don't want to have. Speaking of Bed Bath and Beyond, well, they seem to be doing just fine, or potentially on the verge of a comeback. What happened with them? Well, Bed Bath & Beyond, which also owns stores such as Bye Bye Baby and World Market, which I really, really enjoy, reported on Thursday that comparable sales rose 6% in 3 months ended in August from a year earlier. Its first gain on that measure since the end of 2016, which is really nice. Now, despite the recording 89% increase in digital sales, remember, online. Things are moving online. I don't think we're going to have malls. It's not going to be a thing. And the human behavior is shifting and has shifted so much. For example, me learning about the hotels, kind of allowing, folks are ill. I'm like, yeah, no thanks. I am not staying in a hotel for a very, very long time. Now, digital sales, which can crimp profitability because of shipping costs, the retailer managed to deliver a higher adjusted gross margin than a year ago, and the improvement sent shares soaring more than 30% on Thursday morning. This is very, very positive news, one of very few positive news for Bed Bath & Beyond. However, I do expect that this is going to go down because of President Trump being ill, and I think that that's going to shift a lot of things. Okay, what else is happening in this crazy world of ours? Well, there are a couple of things that I think you definitely want to know. One of the big things is that we do have a hospital chain that was hacked. And so 250 U.S. facilities are affected. The hospital chain Universal Health Services said Thursday that computer services at all 250 of its U.S. facilities were hobbled in last week's malware attack. Doctors and nurses have had to rely on manual record keeping in addition to everything else. So now they're super overworked and super exhausted, which makes it even riskier potentially to be within these hospitals. I'm not saying they are, I'm just saying it could be potentially more challenging because I am taking my notes, and if somebody has to come in but they don't have my notes, it makes it very hard to kind of keep track. Medical record system were not impacted by attack, and it was making steady progress in restoring and reconnecting systems. So they're saying that the medical records have not been taken. However, obviously it is putting some damper on their ability to work, and of course probably increasing cost and stress for folks. Now, we did speak about ransomware and stuff, right? And that's pretty much what it sounds like has transpired here, where they basically put some ransomware. And we've read about some of that stuff as being a huge risk. But here is one piece that we didn't know about and didn't talk about, and I honestly didn't know about it until today, and that is the fact that if you are a victim of a ransomware and you decide you pay the person that is holding all of your stuff hostage until you pay them, you could then face some fines from Uncle Sam. So, here is what's going on. Companies victimized by ransomware and firms that facilitate negotiation with ransomware extortionists, could face steep fines from the U.S. federal government. Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control said companies that facilitate ransomware payments to cyber actors on behalf of victims, including financial institutions, cyber insurance firms, and companies involved in digital forensics and incident responses, not only encourage future ransomware payments demands, but also may risk violating OFAC, Office of Financial Foreign Asset Control, regulations. And so the FBI, of course, had something to say, and other law enforcement agencies have tried to discourage businesses hit by ransomware from paying their extortionists. And while I get it, I agree, right? Like, you don't want to negotiate with the terrorists, as they say. The challenge is that if you are hit, and if it's much faster and cheaper for you just to pay somebody to basically release your stuff so that you can continue on with your business, it makes sense as opposed to being tied up for weeks or months and struggling and losing customers, losing income, losing all of the stuff, right? And so, of course, you want to resolve it as fast as humanly possible. So, while I understand what they're saying of like you don't want to pay them, on the other hand, right, like this is your livelihood, this is the employees, this is the customers who, if they don't receive the services, are going to walk away and find somebody else, which means not just lost business for today, but it's a lost business into the future, and that's a huge hit that most of them don't want to face. In practice, a fair number of victims find paying up is the fastest way to resume business as usual. OFAC may impose civil penalties for sanctions violation based on strict liability, meaning that a person subject to U.S. jurisdiction may be held civilly liable even if it didn't know or have reason to know it was engaging in a transaction with the person is prohibited under sanction laws and regulations administered by OFAC. So what does this all mean? Well, basically, what it means is that you might be hit by a company or individual who is on their list of, sort of prohibited to do business with. But you wouldn't necessarily know that. I don't have a government agency that has a list of all of that stuff that feeds me and be like, well, Joe was involved in this, and you should, we don't have that stuff, right? but they're saying we could care less. If you're dealing with somebody, say from Russia or China or Iran or Libya or Mexico or whatever, right? And we're saying that that particular country we don't do business with. You're prohibited to send transactions to, or they're part of the company. Even here in the United States, that is sort of on a naughty list, and we're prohibiting them receiving any payments and that kind of stuff. But you engage in doing the stuff, you know, depending on jurisdiction, especially if they're outside of the United States, our government is well out of jurisdiction, so they can't do that. They can't do anything, but you are part of the jurisdiction. So what they will do is they will punish you. So now you have to pay who knows how much over to the ransom people just to get your business back, and then the government is going to come in and basically screw you. So thanks government for that stuff. This is one of those things where I keep saying like, I get it of why they're trying to do that stuff. At the same time, this is what makes it impossible for us to do business. This is the part that makes doing business in very very challenging, and why I believe that many of individuals who are potentially doing business and that kind of stuff in the United States are starting to look at different places to go, different places to leave. They're leaving certain states, they're leaving certain jurisdictions, they're going to places where it makes more sense. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? So I think this is an important component to take a look at. And I do want to finish today's episode with one really, really cool piece that I wanted to do yesterday, but of course, because of Trump and everything else that we saw that was happening, it made more sense to talk about how do you protect yourselves from the markets. But here is one thing that I wanted to share with you that is sort of like a leftover from yesterday, and it has to do with a solar powered home that sets a record asking price in West Palm Beach, Florida. And so here it is. This is listed for 17.75 million, and it's a modern mansion that is currently the most expensive listed single family home on the market in West Palm Beach. It has 6 bedrooms and 13 bathrooms. I don't know why you need 13 bathrooms when you only have 6 bedrooms, but then again, maybe I just don't understand how you're supposed to live. Here are the photos, and I mean, it is beautiful if you take a look into it, right? Absolutely gorgeous. Of course, there's some sort of commercial that we're not gonna look. Here is a kitchen, beautiful, giant, open concept kitchen. The laundry room, it's interesting that they did a stackable, with this giant thing. That's what you do, really? But then again, what do I know? What do I know? Oh, okay, well, there's a normal version of the laundry. So you do have two washing machine areas. More commercials. It looks like a wine cellar, maybe. Yeah, it looks like a wine cellar. Uh, Fireplace. Here is more bathrooms. Same living room. More commercials. More bathrooms. Nothing spectacular in those bathrooms, personally. It's beautiful outside. I mean, it has a nice pool, nice area. Um, Overview of the main drag, it looks like, and the beach from the balcony. It does have its private sort of access to the water, which is probably a more beautiful. This office is gorgeous. I do enjoy that. Um, and let's see. I mean, lots of balconies, lots of stairs, lots of outside seating, which makes sense if you're gonna be in Florida. You want to be able to enjoy it. That bath is beautiful. So this is definitely a beautiful bath. Let's see. You have a sort of a balcony, the terrace on the roof, dining room, another bathroom, lots of bathrooms, y'all. Lots of bathrooms. So if you buy this one, make sure you also hire a bathroom cleaning crew, because you're gonna need one crew just to clean your bathrooms. Overall, absolutely gorgeous. There's another fireplace on the outside, but you let me know. Would you pay? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. But anyways, would you pay, $18 million for 13 bathrooms? I don't know. Let me know where you stand. Let me know how you feel. And make sure you like the video. Make sure you come live tomorrow if you're not here today. We're about to go into Q&A, and I will see you tomorrow, but only if you hit subscribe and a bell button. Until then, stay forever money blessed. And do remember, you are only one deal away.